right. Puro night si verses. Our hearts feel so light. We just try Moroles. Making the night dance mi gente under stars so bright. Rio Grande flows with stories we've known through fields and towns, a heritage grown. Tap your feet and sway in rhythms of our own. Feel the music, let your spirit be shown. Hey, hey, put a night that sets. Let's go. Sway left, sway right. Joshua's beats all through the night. Clap, clap, clap. In the valley where the stars take flight. Join the fiesta, let your spirit be shown. Hey, hey, put a night that sets. Let's go. Sway left, sway right. Joshua's beats all through the night. My valley where the stars take flight. Join the fiesta, everything's alright.
Good morning, guys. What's going on? Today I got a special guest, Janet. How's it going?
Good. Good morning.
How do you like my AI intro music?
I'm not sure.
Are you surprised with like what AI is capable of now?
I am. It is really, really crazy. It's creepy.
Yeah, it's a little strange, right? I literally use it every single day. I got access to it last January in 2023, and I dived into it for 2 to 3 hours every single day because I knew it was going to be something that was going to be huge and like, especially for business. Like I use it pretty much for all of my business ventures. It's
Right.
kind of scary, but it also shows you like you really don't need a huge team to be able to make a business thrive.
Well, it does help in that sense, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So share a little bit about yourself. Tell everybody who you are, what you do.
My name is Janet Jennings. I'm actually from California, but I've lived in the Valley long enough. And I own a lady boutique here in Edinburg, Texas. It's called The Rep Shop. And yeah, that's what I do. I'm your t-shirt plug. That's where it started.
Nice. Business is so hard. Like I've been in business since 2016, and I've gone through all the roller coasters and everything like that, the punches and the people telling me no, people telling me yes, and then they tell me no. So it's like, how long have you been in business?
I've been in business since 2018. So
Nice.
It's 6 years.
It's been a difficult journey, I can assume.
Oh, yeah, definitely. A lot of, like you said, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of pushback, a lot of the pushback sometimes even comes from us rather than others because of self-doubt and insecurities and, being different is not always, but nonetheless, you just push through it and just roll with the punches.
Well, let's talk about that, about being different, especially in business, because I work for schools, I work for churches, I work for certain individuals, and expressing myself freely on social media is sometimes a dual-edged sword. But at some points, I got to the point where, like, you know what? Forget this. I'm gonna just do me, and if people like me, I'm gonna attract those people. Do you feel the same way?
Yes, it has to be organic. If we social media is an illusion. We feel like we know people, but we really don't, right?
100%.
A lot of times we can get caught up on, well, this person has this many followers and she acts like this, so should I act like that so people can like me too? But then that becomes not genuine and not organic. Then the people who are following you for a gimmick versus your product. So then that's where the sales drop because people now just watch you versus actually buy from you. So what you want to do is be yourself so that you attract the right client. And then they are like, okay, I like what she does. I like what she sells. I like what she wears. I like her, So I feel like being genuine is very important, even if it takes you longer.
Yeah. I think everybody always talks about like being authentic. Like, what does that mean to you?
Authentic to me is just being who you are, who you are, like how you talk. I mean, that can get hard because you always have your customer service, voice, and then you have your everyday life voice, right? And I've actually been called out on that.
Is that a bad thing though? Because I learned that from my mom. Like she would jump on the phone and like her voice would change. Like, who is that lady?
Yeah, all our moms do that. But it is good and bad. Because like I said, I've been called out on it. And then at the same time, you understand that there has to be some sort of, I guess, imposter syndrome a little bit, just because a customer is going to have expectancy at the end of the day.
Oh, for sure. You know what I've noticed lately too is that I'm always asking questions on social media, and it's interesting to see people's responses. But somebody was talking about the high prices for like at restaurants and stuff like that. So I was like, well, would you go pay that amount of money and have a good customer experience, or you have the bad customer experience? But the customer experience is a huge deal, because I don't think people really understand that if you're going to a restaurant just for lunch, right, and you're paying $18-20 for lunch, you want to be treated good. And that's part of like the whole customer experience. And I feel, I could be wrong, but I feel this because I work with a lot of business owners, is that customer service will push you farther ahead than anyone else. Even if your food's okay, it's great, it's not that great, but the customer service alone will push your business to like that next level. What do you think?
I agree 100%. I feel like customers sometimes come back just because of the way you make them feel, and not just because of what you sell.
Yeah.
And then I tend to be that person who, how do I say this? I'm not very good at showing care. I mean, I love deeply, don't get me wrong.
You lack empathy? My God, I've been told that before.
Yeah, like I'm a good person. I love deeply. I kind of suck at that, and for whatever reason, people always gravitate to me to tell me their sob stories and their life experiences. And I'm just standing there. I mean, I give you my full attention, don't get me wrong. And I will definitely give you advice if it's asked for, because I'm huge on that. But I just suck at cleaning up the tears and giving you a hug, and so, but for, like I said, even though I suck at it, people just love to pour out to me,
Yeah.
and I get that a lot here at Rep Shop.
Yeah, I think it's because like you're in a space where you're looked at as like an authority. I'll say that, right? Because you're a business owner, right? So you obviously have done something right in your life, that it's going right, and you're still in business. So people like will look to you like, all right, she seems like she has it together, and let me ask her questions and stuff like that. Because I get that too. Is like I don't like taking on people's problems. Like I have enough of my own problems, right? So something with me is I take people's energy. It's a weird thing. I absorb their energy. So I'm very particular about who I keep around me and stuff like that. Because I have a family, I have a wife, so I absorb all of their energy. So it's a strange thing too. But also like having a podcast, a lot of people feel like they can talk to me, but I can only take people in small doses.
Exactly. I'm the exact same way. I believe they describe us as empaths.
Empaths.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
What does that mean?
You are someone who can show a great amount of empathy, but because you're an energy absorbent, like you're a person who will actually eat someone's energy, it can affect you. So you have to be very careful who you surround yourself with and who you show a lot of time to. So you have to be very limited with your time with others.
Yeah, I actually only stumbled upon that like in my 40s. Like I'm actually turning 43 on tomorrow. Shit. I only stumbled upon that in my 40s, and I feel like fuck, I should have like learned this a long time ago.
Well, we change with age. I feel like a lot of our discernment and things that we can process comes with challenges that we've able to overcome in life. Experiences, hard lessons. So 30-year-old you might have not been able to catch it because you hadn't been through enough.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right too. Because my wife is still in her 30s or late 30s, and we kind of had like different mentalities. Like I want to chill at home. I want to work on my business. I want to work on certain aspects of my life, because at this age, I found that like I kind of need to be able to have enough money in my older life to sustain what I need to, for the family and everything. So my priorities have changed, but obviously she's a little younger, so she still wants to go out, wants to hang out, wants to do fun stuff. So I have to be cognizant of those things. And I think a lot of people
compromise, definitely. But it's
yeah.
good to know exactly what's lined up and what you need, what both your needs and hers are, right? Because at the end of the day, even if she's 3 years younger or 3 years older, every person is his own world. So
Yeah.
different. You know, I feel like age does matter. I mean, my husband's 5 years younger than me. So I'll be 42 next month.
Mhm.
And yes, it does matter, especially with men. When they're younger, it can get a little crazy. But I feel like it's important to just understand that we're two different people, regardless of our age. And there has to be compromise, you know? When you're a business owner, we can get so laser focused that we tend to dismay a lot of the concerns around us, you know?
Yeah.
And we don't do it with intention. And that's where the balance comes between family and having a business, and it can get really hard sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I had to learn how to unplug the business part of me. Like at certain time, like I work out Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and I get out of the gym about 5:30, and I unplug like everything. Like I don't answer anybody's calls for business specifically, because for years and years I would do that, and I would drive myself crazy. And I was like, why am I so stressed? Like these people don't even care. Like if I can get fired tomorrow, right? So that's kind of like the thing that people really need to understand, that is you're expendable to a certain extent, right? Like, don't assume that you're always going to have a job. So prepare for the future, because life, and it's difficult. Like that's exactly how it is, just difficult.
And I feel like we're playing catch up constantly with the changes in every era we're going through. So just like a job won't be here tomorrow, neither will a business. I mean,
Yeah.
here I celebrated 6 years, and for all I know, I'm going to pack it up in 6 months.
Yeah.
You don't know. And I say we're playing catch up because I'm not one who likes to show face very much as far as business branding goes. But I understand that it's a part of what I have to do, because that's the era we are in right now. We are no
Oh,
longer
100%. Yeah.
era. Door to door still works. Don't get me wrong. If you put the effort to let people know where you are, they will find you. So does word of mouth. However, people are stuck and glued to their phone all day these
Yeah.
days, you know? And so if you're not on their phone, chances are they're not going to see you. And from what I hear, it takes, I do workshops here and there, and it takes for you to post something 7 times before one person sees it.
Yeah.
You have 100 followers and you want all 100 to see it, you're gonna have to post it 700 times.
Yeah, it's interesting because I grew up with like the social media. Like in 2016, I just dove into it because I knew it was going to be a big thing. But naturally, I'm an introvert. Like I have some extrovert tendencies about me, but I'm super introverted. And I think a lot of people think that I'm extroverted. But like I said, like people drain me. So I'm very careful about what I do and who I share my time with. And that's why like I don't go to networking events, because I went to one like last month or something, and like just being around that many people was like, it drained me, and I was like drained for the rest of the day. Do you feel that too?
Yeah. No, I mean, we're basically twins. Yeah.
Well, what do you think that is though? Because I like people, like I like to interact. I want to have conversations with my peers, especially that are in the same industry, right? But I don't know what it is. Like I can't, maybe I feel shy. I don't know.
I think it comes with age too. I feel like throughout life experiences, I don't know about you, but I've done the whole having, my little clique of friends and my era of going out and doing things. And I feel like as we get older, we understand how much value there is in that and how much there isn't, right?
Right.
So I feel like, at least for me, a lot of times when I'm networking in certain events, I don't find the value in it, because a lot of it just seems so fake and so, like, try hard. And so
Yeah.
we're all here just because we all want something from each other, not because we really care. So I think a lot of times our thought process can make us have some pushback. But then when you have a business, you kind of have to put all of that aside and just understand, yeah, I need the exposure, so I'm going to do this.
Yeah. And also to touch on that, where you're talking about, you don't even know if you'll be around in 6 months. I don't even know if I'll be around in 6 months as business, right? And that's why I always talk about like upskilling. Like, I feel like everyone needs to upskill at some point, like, because you can't go to college, right? At a certain age, you don't want to go to college because it's going to take a huge portion of your life. So I've seen that a lot of people are going to like workshops, going to conventions and stuff like that to get a distilled amount of education in like a 3-day process. I think that's one of the biggest life hacks, because if you can pay somebody $200 to like $5,000 to learn their cumulative knowledge of whatever their business has been around for so long, like, I think that's worth the investment in yourself, because you're giving yourself that education, and nobody can take away your skill set. If you drop this job tomorrow, like, you can take that skill set with you anywhere.
Right. I mean, definitely, knowledge is power, you know? And I feel like in everything we do, we're learning and evolving.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And there has to be no fear, you know? If Rep Shop would shut down in 6 months, there's a lot that I've learned here where I know that I could take that somewhere else.
Yeah,
or
you can duplicate it.
Different business, or maybe even host my own workshop. You know, like, there's so much that can be done. It's just not being afraid to do it, right? But definitely, you said, you know, you do have to stay educated, and you also have to be very careful with the workshops you choose, because I feel like everyone's a business guru these days.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Everyone's a marketing person these days. And you have to be careful. You know, I've had people come to me with under 100 followers tell me like, hey, let me promote your business. And
Yeah.
you know, who are you going to promote it to? Like, no offense, right? Like, we all start somewhere, don't get me wrong. So
Yeah, for sure.
I have a hard time saying no. So because I am an empath, and so I will tend to tell them, well, you know, let me help you out then, because you have 100 followers. So let me help you out, because we're in this together, and I had 100 followers 6 years ago. So, you know, so I'll still probably give them some sort of entry, but I understand the knowledge is there that I'm probably not going to get anything out of this. So I have to be very limited to how much time I give this person, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's interesting because, you know, obviously everybody's trying to do the grind, right? Everybody's trying, especially like in marketing and advertising. I've seen it over the past years. I used to get like upset because there was a new marketing thing coming out or something like that, or a new agency coming out. But I was like, I look back over the years and like, nope, none of them are around anymore. So it's an interesting thing, because business is like, it's a battle. Like, who's going to stay the longest in business? And then that's how you measure your success, how long you can stay in business.
Right. And like, I commented on one of your posts not too long ago where I said, you know, you're either gonna, because nobody wants it, like, everybody wants what you have. Everyone feels that they can obtain it, especially if they've been watching you for some time, whether they're close with you or they're just watching you. They feel as though they're able to do it too. So, and that's okay. It's called inspiration. Maybe you're inspiring out to just copy and envy, right? However, they don't understand that even though they've been in a part of your journey, they don't know how much you've actually lost to get to where you're at.
Yeah,
You know?
or invested, or the time or the relationships that you had to make along the way.
You know, they're all losses, whether they're financial or relationships or family members, or I mean, it could be, some people, it's pretty crazy the things that they lose to stay in business. And you don't want that. And until you realize that that's what comes with it, that's why a lot of them either stick to it or they go away.
Yeah.
They go away because once you're in it, it's when you realize it's not as easy as you think. You know, it's a constant grind. And you said earlier, you literally have to shut it down at 5:30 or at 6 o'clock in my case, and just say, I'm gonna, you know, or even trusting God sometimes. Like, I'll just trust God that those messages will be okay until tomorrow, you know, because sometimes we start getting that self-doubt where we're like, let me just reply, because what if it's a sale? I do a lot of business branding, right? I work with multiple businesses here locally where I do all of their staff t-shirts. Or just event t-shirts, or just a lot of stuff. So it's a lot of businesses, right? A lot of med spas. And, you know, sometimes you get a message from them, you know, that's going to be a good sale because that's talking, you know, it's a bulk order. And you can easily say, okay, this person's been my customer for 4 years. I know it's a bulk order. I know it's a good sale. Let me answer it. Or you could just trust that they know your worth, they know your quality, they know your job, and answering tomorrow will be just fine.
Yeah, no, I think you're right too, because people like to do business with people they know, like, and trust, but you also have to be competent, and that competent part isn't found very often from what I find. Do you see that on your end?
The what?
The competency. Like, you have to, people like to do business with people they know, like, and trust, but they also have to be competent.
Right.
The competent part is hard to find.
Yeah, definitely. And that plays a part in cheaper isn't always better. You know?
Yeah.
People want to go with what's cheaper because, I mean, we're living broke days these days. Everyone seems to be broke, you know, like it's crazy. Like I have in this business, I've met so many people. I've met attorneys, I've met realtors, I mean, doctors, everything. And in all of those lines of work that I just mentioned, they're constantly telling me they're broke. And I think to myself, like, bro, you're an attorney.
Yeah,
like,
how?
How are you broke? You know, because we grew up thinking attorneys and doctors are rich, you know, but it's, you know, everyone is hustling right now, from attorneys to doctors. I know a doctor, I'm not going to mention his name, who is literally hosting pop-ups at his office because, I mean, he claims to be helping the small businesses, but in reality, bro, they're helping you too because they're giving exposure to your office because you have 10 tents outside.
Yeah.
So coming to this spot because the tents are attracting, and I know because I did pop-ups for many years. And I actually organized them. I run something called the pop-up shops. They were going to be shut down about a year ago. McAllen was trying to get rid of them. So I had to have a meeting with, you know, the city and the commissioners. And thankfully, they heard my point of view, and pop-ups are still a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting to do too. I went with a few friends that own businesses there on Main Street in McAllen, and we had a meeting with the city commissioners. But, you know, everything is a struggle, everything, you know, whether
Yeah. I've noticed that too, because I talk to a lot of business owners, and a lot of them are tightening up. They're getting rid of employees, and rightfully so, because you got to trim the fat, obviously, right? But I feel it. I feel like the recession is starting to come. We've been in a rolling recession for the past 2 years, from what I understand. But you can tell, like, people are starting to tighten up their wallets. People aren't going out as often. And I feel that a lot of people are just living with outside of their means. Like, they're just spending so much money on things that they really don't need. And I'm super simple. I don't know if it's just a guy thing, but I just need like a coffee, water, stuff like that. Like, I don't need the fancy stuff or anything like that, right? But I feel like a lot of that stuff does it does help, like, the psyche, especially the psychology. Like, if you want to stay at a certain level in life and you want to project this out to the world, you got to show everybody this. And I feel like social media is just you show everybody the good stuff.
Oh, of course. Yeah, definitely. Social media has created status monsters, you know,
Yeah.
where everyone is competing without saying it. So
Yeah.
go eat there, I'm going to go eat there. You took the pictures there, I'm going to take the pictures there. And then what did that do for businesses? Well, we need to make our location look Instagrammable.
Right.
All the people competing on social media for a picture need to come do it here.
It's
So
interesting.
all circle, you know what I mean? Like, you have to, that's what I mean by you have to stay relevant and on top of things, because otherwise that's one of the biggest ways to stay in business.
Is you adapt.
staying relevant with what people are doing, good or bad. And, I feel like the algorithm is ridiculous. Like, if you try to compete with the algorithm, you're just going to lose your mind. But staying relevant and staying, with the trends of social media and people, that will definitely help you stay in business, because now people want what you want because you're basically kind of like them,
Right. Yeah. People like to be like other people.
Right.
Yeah. The interesting thing that I found though is I was with the marketing agency when I started, and then I transferred over to the advertising agency this January because I did see like a lot of business owners were struggling, and the last thing that they needed was marketing that was going to take so long. And the advertising if you turn on the advertising, like you get immediate results. So I pushed the marketing agency to the advertising agency because I found there was a huge need for it. Because even if you think about this, like you have beautiful marketing, you have beautiful pictures, you have beautiful reels, but then like nobody's seen it because you do have to compete with the algorithm, right? But the advertising aspect of it, like it pushes it in front of people within that specific demographic. And I always talk about this because I feel like a lot of business owners should be educated in this, because never in the history of man have a business owner been able to go to facebook.com/ads manager and create the advertising platform that they can use themselves to be able to get in front of a ton of people. Like this is the hack for businesses. And I share this all the time because I feel like, I heard the statistic the other day that 10 to 12 million businesses will close every year. And it's heartbreaking because I work with a lot of business owners, and the last thing I want to do is like see them, ultimately demise. But I think showing them that facebook.com/ads manager, and I share this with everybody. Go to it right now. You can create your Facebook ads account, and it's going to be for Facebook and Instagram, and you can start running advertisements on there. It's the same thing like as boosting, right? But it's a little bit more robust because it keeps all the information in that specific tool. But I challenge every business owner to go out there to use facebook.com/ads manager, create your own advertising tool. And now you hold the tool that you can get in front of a ton of people, specifically within a 1 mile, 5 mile, 10 mile radius, or you can reach the whole Rio Grande Valley if you have enough budget. Do you boost content?
I used to. And so I'd have to check into it again. But one problem that I used to run into with Facebook ads and boosting is, so when you're a business owner and I'll say woman in particular, because women are just haters, right?
That's gonna be one of my questions later. You beat me to it.
Yeah. Just kidding. They're not haters, but they just not create enemies right now. But I've been reported multiple times.
Wow.
Selling, I guess like copyright items, or maybe what you would consider like a dupe, like, fake stuff, which I don't. Every t-shirt I create, I every now and then they are bought images, but for the most part, every slogan, everything you see on t-shirts, it's because it's just something I created. But yeah, I've been reported multiple times. Just recently, days before my 6-year event, the state came into the store,
Wow.
So I reported a couple of times over the years, and that blocks me from boosting ads.
Mm.
Again, I don't know if the block has been removed. I haven't tried it in a long time, but when I first started, I definitely would do it a lot. You pay for a certain amount per day for a certain amount of days, right?
Yeah.
You would either boost that one post, or you could schedule. And so I would do it. And I would see traffic as far as like engagement. I never really got to do it enough to where I could see sales come from it, which was going to be my question to you right now. But because of that is why I don't do it, because Facebook blocked me from doing it.
I got you. Yeah, and it's an interesting thing because the ads account is now Facebook laid off 20,000 people 2 years ago, and they replaced a lot of their system with AI. So the AI is super sensitive about copyright issues or certain things that it sees, they'll just flag it. What's interesting is I pulled on a client last week, and she had an ads account that has been rejected since 2013. And that's why we couldn't run ads through that specific platform for her business. So we had to create a new one on the other side to create it. So there's always ways to get in front of people. But it's interesting because that I feel that is one of the biggest hacks that you can use. And the thing is, like, I always talk to a lot of business owners that have tried boosting before. They've tried it once, they've tried it twice, and they spend maybe $100, $200 on it. And a lot of them don't see the return immediately. But that's why you really have to have like an advertising strategy. Like figure like, I'm going to spend this much per month for the next 12 months. And then you reevaluate it the year after, figure like, did this bring in this amount of money, or is it a good return on investment? I feel like a lot of people try it once, try it twice, and they're like, nah, it didn't work. And then that's their like bad taste in their mouth that they tell everybody else. Like consistently getting in front of people over and over and over again is the trick, because you have to assume, I'm trained as a marketer to assume that everybody gets busy. So if they were about to respond to my message, they were about to, right? Their kid cried, they dropped their coffee on themselves. So you have to assume that people got busy. So that's why I always post consistently often, and I'm always pushing out advertisements consistently, because I don't want people to forget about me. And I think Rock and Roll James told me once that he was like in Facebook jail for like 30 days and nobody even noticed. So that is true. Like people forget.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And, you know, I have like a love-hate relationship with that, because I feel like you know, it's crucial to be in people's face, like you said. And then sometimes I feel like people get so accustomed to seeing you and talking to you and almost befriending you that they forget the business side of it. And that's where the sales also drop.
Yeah.
And you kind of go away for a few days, come back full force, and then it's like, okay, you see a change in sales. But it also has to do with who your following is, right?
Sure.
But definitely showing face is something crucial. And I feel even as far as when I used to organize events, like the pop-ups for small businesses, I remember my friend Roberta with CC Suites.
Mm-hmm. I'm right next to them.
Cool. I love her. Oh, well, yeah. She's Rhonda, Roberta. But so she was, oh, give me 1 second. Sorry. Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I didn't even see you there. I'm here for drip nails. Is it in this one?
It's next door, babe.
Okay.
Sorry.
The realities of business, huh? I'll take it. I'll take the sale.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, we have drip nails right next to us. It's owned by attorneys Paloma Barredo. I don't know if you know who they are. Yeah. Or really cute girls. But anyways, so I was telling Roberta with CC's, you need to stop sending me your girls to the events. Like people want to know who is CC Sweets. Like you need to come. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, girl, I don't like to show face, and what we all do, right? And I said, I know, but people love you. You just need to let them love you, you know? And
Yeah.
so, so she's like, okay, I will come next time. So the next time comes around, mind you, it was blazing hot and we were outdoors. So she hated me. Did it, and the line was crazy long, because now they're not just buying the infamous CC Sweets pastries, but they're buying them from Roberta. Like it's crazy. It's just crazy what that does for people, you know. And
Yeah.
a lot of times I feel like we're so humble, we don't realize the impact that we have on others as business owners. And I am like number one guilty of that, you know. And I'm not trying to boast, because that's completely goes against my personality. But I will be at Bath and Body Works or the mall, and oh, your rep shop, you know. And my name's not Janet anymore. My name's Rep Shop. And so, you know, it always catches me by surprise because we don't realize the impact that we have on others. You know, we're showing them our face every day. We're talking about everyday things, and you know, then we leave and we just think, oh well, we're just Janet, you know. But
Yeah.
people see you that way. Some do, but a lot of people don't. And so showing face and being the person at your business, at your events, it matters. It really does.
100%. And I think you're right, because the people that are willing to get in front and speak and put themselves out there as business owners, like, they have a huge advantage versus everyone else, because it takes a lot of fortitude to get in front of a camera, to mess up talking, to say the wrong words, to spell stuff wrong on social media. Like, it takes a certain human being to be able to be okay with it. Like, I fucked up, whatever. Let's move on to the next thing. Like, it's an interesting thing, because I tell people all the time, like, you have a massive advantage if you just jump in front of a camera and you can speak well. You don't have to look good. You just speak well.
Yeah. Yeah. If you look good, it's a plus.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me talk about this, because we touched on something that was interesting. I feel like there's not a lot of role models or mentors out there. Do you see this?
Yeah.
So kind of touch on that, because I feel like it's a important subject, because the younger generation doesn't have anybody to look up to. Even like people that are my age that are lost, they don't have anybody to look up to, like, especially locally. Like, I feel like a lot of people are closed in. And the perfect example of this is because I always look for mentors and role models. I don't care if they're younger or older, but it's very hard for me to find them. So me being into AI, I created or recreated my own mentors on ChatGPT. So I have GPTs. I have like 5 or 6 different mentors that I talk to every day, which is a little weird, right? But I struggle to find mentors and role models. So I have to go to AI to help me, facilitate that need, that desire that I'm looking for, because I am of a growth mindset, and it's very hard to find people with growth mindsets. Do you feel that way?
Yes, definitely. And I feel like we are in an era where there's no accountability, like none.
Responsibility either.
Right. And if you add those two things, how are you going to find a mentor? Like, you can't, because no one is accountable or responsible anymore. Everyone.
Why do you think that is, though?
Because of social media. I feel like social media has given people an avenue to be what's really in their heart versus what's good and responsible to do. So, for example, yesterday you shared the Pop the Balloon post. And you tagged, I guess, the creator, the
Yes.
local creator. And I had commented that I've seen the show. Mind you, I have, right? It's a different version. It was all Black people. It was pretty ghetto. But nonetheless, it got me to watch it. I saw all the episodes because it's still cool. It's still a very cool concept. It's still, something different, right? And so I commented, oh, I've seen the show, right? Mind you, I will be the first one to admit I didn't know it wasn't the same creator. Like, I assumed Pop the Balloon, it's the same show, which is, now I know it's not.
I didn't even know there was another show. I just thought this was the first one.
Oh, I know. So I just ruined it for everybody. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Someone commented after me saying, oh, yeah, but this is the Valley version, so it's going to be ratchet.
Yeah.
Right? And I guarantee you that person would not have left that ugly comment if it wasn't because there's no accountability anymore. Like, you could basically be the most gross person on social media, and who can hold you accountable for it? Nobody. How can you counteract with what you're doing? And I feel like people have now somehow made that their life. Like, they're only behind a screen. People won't socialize in person, and if they do, they know they can't be that gross person, so they rather just get on social media and do it.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that social media has given a voice to everybody, whether it's good or whether it's bad. It's interesting.
Right.
But that show was very interesting, because as soon as I saw it, and I know this because I know a bunch of guys, I know a bunch of younger men, and they struggle to find girlfriends or partners, or they're shy about going up to women or something like that, right? And I feel like a lot of them just don't have the confidence. And this shows just exactly what the Valley is. Like, I know there's only 4 girls and there was only like 5 guys, right? But it kind of gives you a glimpse into the mindset of younger demographic and then the older demographic, and what dating is really like here in the Rio Grande Valley, because it seems like nobody can find any love anymore.
I feel like the dating scene is, ever since there's social media and apps, it's pretty much just done. Like,
Yeah.
as far as the old ways,
Yeah.
it's pretty scary,
Yeah, it's scary because you think about like AI too, like the robots, Optimus is being produced by Tesla. And I was talking to somebody a while back on a podcast about AI girlfriends. So you're going to go into an era of where guys and girls just have AI girlfriends and boyfriends, because I'm married. I've been married for 12 years. So I know the struggles of marriage. I know the struggles of relationships. Do you think well, actually, even Oprah talked about this yesterday, because she sat down with Bill Gates and Sam Altman that are huge into AI. And Oprah was even saying that she sees in the future that people are going to want to marry their AI robots. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I feel like that's really sad, but I feel like that started with video games. I mean, I know people who have offed themselves because they were in love with the character and they couldn't be with them physically.
Wow.
I'm huge on true crime and documentaries, and just getting into the mindset of why people do what they do. Like, that's just something that I do daily. It's like it's a ritual. But so I mean, I know I could be here all day with stories, but I feel like it started with video games. I feel like they became so realistic. It was only bound to happen that we would jump into AI eventually.
It happened fast too, like super scary fast.
But I mean, I even have AI songs on Instagram where if you look up Rep Shop Halloween on the music, there's a whole guy singing stuff with the word Rep Shop, and I have AI songs on there. So anybody can do it, And
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel like it's gonna drive people crazy. I really do think so. I think people tend to, you go either all the way right or all the way left with things. There's a medium. I don't know if you agree, but even for example, social media, the internet, and there's the dark web. I mean, there's black holes in this world that you don't want to tap into, but people will do it because they can't just stay centered and just take advantage of, like, everything we're talking about as far as ads and social media, everything. All of that is such a good platform to have for
Mm-hmm.
business, whether you're in retail like me or advertising like you. However, people will use that for something so horrible.
Yeah.
And that's where it kind of messes it up for everybody.
No, you're right. You're right, because I've even noticed, like, we're going into an election year, and like Trump and Kamala Harris, like, you're gonna see a level of artificial intelligence and fake news and fake scams that you have never been accustomed to before. And people, like, especially people all across social media that aren't aware of this stuff, they're gonna fall for it.
Oh yeah, I mean, you see it in, like, I mean, it's something I would know, but you see it in rap battles. You know what I mean? Like, you have, I mean, Drake just did a song where he had Snoop Dogg in it and didn't even ask him for permission.
Crazy.
Yeah, and so it's crazy. Telling you, it can be creepy.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting world we live in. I think that's all going to explode within the next 3 to 5 years. It's going to be, I think Oprah said it best, is she summed it up in 2 words, is buckle up, because that's exactly what people are going to have to do, because they're not even going to know what's real or not anymore.
I agree. And it's sad because it's such a good tool.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's change subject real fast to something a little bit more serious. I guess it's all serious, right? I want to talk about the school threats and arrests and the school shootings and stuff like that. I think it's a huge topic that kind of gets glanced over sometimes. But now, I have a daughter in high school and have a little boy in school too. So it's like it's a different world that we're living in nowadays. And I feel for like the kids, because when I would go to school, the last thing I'd worry about is some kid shooting it up. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are very simple. I feel like gun laws need to be reinforced. I'm not a person who goes all the way right or all the way left. I try to always stay centered in the middle with whatever topic we're talking about. And I feel like guns are not the issue, but I feel like their laws definitely are. Like I have a 19-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Not be able to go to Walmart and buy a gun.
Yeah.
But if he's not old enough to drink, why is he old enough to carry a gun?
To carry, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like there's a lot of mental illness in the world right now. And again, people are going to think I hate social media, but I don't. I love social media. But I feel like just like they use everything for the good, they use everything for the bad. And a lot of people are constantly just comparing themselves from the littlest things, especially when you're young, and you see a girl in your class get all the love on TikTok and Instagram and this and that. And then these kids tend to compare. I mean, if adults do it, kids are going to do it,
Yeah, 100%. I've done it. That's why I started to get into shape. That's why I started to eat right. That's why I started to look more presentable, because I've seen like I see what people gravitate more towards, right? And I want to appeal to that bigger audience. So I went an extra, and I put extra emphasis on how I look, on what I do, on the things that I say. That's why I'm out on social media all the time, is because I'm trying to create this awareness for my brand, right? But I also see the negative effects of it. Is like sometimes I can't put this stupid thing down. Like, it's annoying.
And it's so I feel like you're asking the wrong person. I'm gonna sound negative, but I'm not trying to be. But I feel like, so just like there's good and bad, I feel like social media has made all of us ADD.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we cannot focus. And my son, for example, my 19-year-old, he tells me, oh, my husband sent him a video, right? And I was like, oh, okay, what's it about? He's like, well, I didn't really get to see it. I mean, it was like a minute long. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
The attention span is short.
I mean, a minute long. I said, I get it. You're used to 15-second reels, but bro, a minute of your life. And he's, Mom, I'm going to see it. But just his initial response lets you know where the mindset of kids are today. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to think really different than them.
Yeah, I think the saying is that we're competing with goldfish now, because the attention of a goldfish is like 3 seconds long. I think ours is like probably that at that point.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you have to have boundaries for yourself. Not just with, I'm not going to respond to messages after 5 p.m., but I'm also going to, set some goals for my day. Like, you have to set the tone for your day, but you have to set the goals for your day, and then try to just kind of check them off as you go. Because once you get on your phone, those three of those goals can be pushed back till tomorrow.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You got to force yourself to put the phone down.
Yeah. And social media also isn't what it used to be. So like, I respect what you do, so thank you for having me, because I do respect what you do. And the reason I do is, obviously I don't know you other than Facebook, right? But I think you're an intelligent, responsible man. But even though I know your posts are more so for research and business, it feels good to be able to interact with others, because it's not what it used to be. I mean, the whole title says, what's on your mind, right? So it used to be so you could do what you're doing, which is interacting, like asking questions, having topics, having people stay connected. And I feel like now it's just a bunch of, look at me, and nobody wants to look at you. So people will either give you a like or ignore you, and no one will interact with you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so,
it's an interesting thing because I do this because I do want to be part of my community. I do want to know the community members that are in there, and I think it's important that I feel like every business owner that is capable of coming out on a podcast should have their own podcast because it allows you to put your flag in the ground and say, hey, this is what I do, this is who I am, these are my values. You can obviously tell what I do and how I speak about certain things, so you can kind of get an idea of the person that I am. And obviously, I'm going to go out into the community. So I want to bring, obviously people on that are in the community that are business owners, because I have a huge heart for business owners because I know exactly how hard it is too, right? So I feel that every business owner should put themselves out there because at the end of the day, people are buying from you, like the business owner, and you are the essence of your business. So if people want to work with you, they want to work with you because they like you, they trust you. You're competent to be able to give them what you say you can do and stuff like that. I feel like there's a lot of people that say stuff like that, but they don't deliver.
right. No, 100%. Yeah. And like I said, interaction is very important, and it's getting lost.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Do you hear about that escaped Bengal tiger from Reynosa?
I thought it, I thought it was a meme
No, that's real.
the whole time. And then my mom calls me that they caught it. And I'm like, so this tiger was really loose? And she said, yes. What were you thinking? I said, you can't take things serious now.
I know, it's a strange, and the crazy part is the tiger's name is Tony, so it's Tony the tiger. It's a yeah, it's an interesting world we live in. Is obviously Reynosa's right there and stuff like that. I heard it was from like a drug dealer's ranch or something like that tiger escaped.
Really? So was it?
Who holds tigers as a pet?
Wow. What was that guy on Netflix? The tiger guy.
Oh, the Tiger King, or Tiger King.
He should look for him.
Get him to wrangle him up.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, did you hear about that 1944 treaty? It's a water treaty, specifically here in the Rio Grande Valley. So we have a treaty with Mexico, and Mexico's not giving us the water that we're promised. So it's been a huge thing that's going on here in the Rio Grande Valley. I even got a letter in the mail, I think a few days ago, from Congress of the United States to the House of Representatives for one of the people that's representing the valley. And at the top of it is fighting for our water, established a South Texas Water Working Group to explore long-term solutions to our water challenges. And it's about that 1944 treaty because Mexico's not allowing us to have enough water for our farmers, for our citrus and stuff like that. And I think one of the biggest sugar mills here in the Rio Grande Valley shut down. So it's like a huge implications for the Rio Grande Valley of where we're headed if we do not have that water. And you would think like who cares? It's just water, right? But it is really a huge deal because I think McAllen or the Rio Grande Valley has lost like $435 million this year because of that. And it's only going to get higher and higher in the years. Are you aware of any of that?
I've heard some things, and I hear a lot of people complain about them allowing car washes to open because of this water situation. I'm not sure why some sort of like recycling solution hasn't happened for these car washes because, I mean, you're just letting go of tons and tons and tons of water a day, I feel like that they should look into for the future, kind of like a fountain where it's just water. I'm not sure, obviously to have to go through some filter system because you don't want dirty water in your car, but either that, or if that's crazy and too out of this, world to do, well, then maybe they need to limit that too, because on one hand, you can't complain that there's no water, but you're letting a car wash open in every corner of the city.
Yeah, it's interesting. It even talked about, I posted something about a desalination project, just have it there at the island, because Elon Musk said that it's relatively cheap to have a desalination project anywhere. And the thing is, somebody posted or something is like, obviously you have never worked with water before, so obviously it's expensive or something like that. But I feel like when I was sitting with Richard Cortez, the judge, he was like, a lot of people talk and talk and talk and never give solutions. Well,
Right.
these are solutions, right? Like, and I feel like when we start giving solutions, nobody's listening.
I agree. I agree. And I don't know what it is, but I've observed over the years that we don't have a very good relationship with Mexico.
Yeah.
Like, we're not at war with them, but we're also, I don't know. I don't know if you know what I mean, but we can't also ask them for anything because everything becomes a battle. Like, well, or, bringing up paperwork and having to fight for what was promised and this and that. And it's just a constant battle with Mexico every time we need something.
Yeah, it's an interesting world we're living in now because I feel like the United States has lost a lot of its like reigning power. Like you talking about like Russia and China and all these things. Like they moved away from the petrodollar, so like the dollar right now in the United States is weak. It's an interesting thing because like we're still known as a superpower, right? And I feel like that's one of the things why Bitcoin has become like such a popular thing. Are you familiar with Bitcoin?
A little bit, a little bit. What I've heard of it, again, documentary world is not very good, because it's money that's out there that works out there, but doesn't always pay for the best things.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting thing because I think you got to think now that what you listen to and what you're repeating is like old stuff. Bitcoin has now become like the best performing asset. So if you like buy a house or you like buy gold or jewelry or something like that, or even a Rolex, it's similar to that because it's an asset. It's a digital asset, right? But it's not something you can tangibly hold. But it's an interesting thing because it's the first global asset. So that means that if you take your Rolex across into Mexico or something like that, like they can stop you at the airport and ask you, why do you have this? Where's the documentation? With Bitcoin, you can literally travel the world, go anywhere and use that Bitcoin in certain countries. But like we're just at the beginning right now of where it's going to be because institutional adoption has already happened for Bitcoin. So that means that the United States, these big institutions like BlackRock, and Fidelity, like these big, huge ones that all our parents invest in stock markets and stuff, they're starting to create their own Bitcoin ETFs, which means that the average person can now invest into Bitcoin. And I think it's something that should be on everybody's radar because we're very early in it. And if you have some extra income that you can invest in something, this is not investment advice, by the way, right? But if you do, you should really look into Bitcoin because the future of it is it's decentralized. So that means it's not like a bank where you want to go on a after 5 p.m. or on the weekend to get your money and you can't claim it or whatever, or you can't deposit it. Bitcoin allows you to do that. It's open 24/7. You don't need a bank manager to say, yes, you can deposit this amount of money or you can't take out this amount of money. Like it is truly a free market, decentralized money type of asset.
Is it traceable?
It's traceable through the blockchain, but it's not traceable with your actual name. It's a blockchain. So what happens is it's blockchain. It has a bunch of numbers and codes and stuff like that. So you have a wallet, and that wallet has a key and a number, and that's how it's traceable. Every transaction is traced on the blockchain, but it doesn't have your personal information. It's not attached to your address, your name, your social security. It is truly a decentralized means of money and assets. It's an interesting thing. I think everybody should have it on their radar, just like AI.
Right. Yeah, I would have to look more into it. Sounds a lot like Cash App
Yeah.
without physical and attached to you.
Yeah. Right now, you can actually send Bitcoin to the similar to at Cash App, and you can buy Bitcoin on Cash App, which is
Yeah.
an interesting thing. And I've tried to buy my daughter some and store it in her Cash App. It's an interesting world because the world that we're living in now, it's not going to be the same world that our kids are going to be living in.
Oh yeah. No, it's going more and more virtual.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I feel like the storefront for retail I feel like it started right before the pandemic, where people were buying online. I feel like Amazon's done that for everyone, right? But then the pandemic hit and everybody had to go virtual. Everybody had to get a website. Everybody had to get curbside or apps and all these things. And right when COVID lifted, there was a huge success with retail because everybody was so desperate to hit the streets again.
Yeah.
Walk into your place of business or your restaurant, the movies. I mean, we just wanted to be normal again. But then slowly it's transitioned back into, can I just order online? Can I just pick it up? I really don't have the time. I feel like we live in you don't even have to be a business owner. I feel like we live in a super fast paced life now and everyone's just busy.
Yeah.
Like everyone is just busy. Like it's so rare when you can just hit someone up and be like, hey, can you block this time for me? Because they have 3 months on their calendar blocked,
Yeah.
And so when you add that to, that's where AI comes in. That's where, being virtual comes in, because I feel like that's what people want now, And so that's kind of where I was going when I'm saying, I don't even know if I'll be here 6 months from now, because the truth is, it's a constant battle to get people in the door.
Yeah.
But it's a battle to get people to shop online. Not anymore, unless you're not competitive. You're going to have to be competitive with Amazon, because that's your biggest competitor when you are in retail. Amazon is killing everybody right now. They have 2-day shipping. They have super low prices. They have everything in the market. So we have to constantly be on top of that as retailers and say, okay, well, me and Amazon sell this, or how about I just sell stuff that you can't find on Amazon? So you're constantly having to brainstorm and relevant and have prices that are suitable for the market right now and suitable to compete with Amazon. And so I don't know if you know this, but my concept here, and it's funny because I brought this concept from California because I visit every year. My family's out there. And I was in San Diego and I was going into a store that I thought was a Nordstrom, right? And so I'm like, okay, cool. Let's go in. And then I go in, and to my surprise, it is a Nordstrom, but it's not Nordstrom inside. It's just huge pop-up. I mean, Houston just started doing it. I don't remember the name. Something Trees. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name, but Houston just started doing it, which is they take an old Macy's, an old Nordstrom, Saks, whatever you want, and they just make like a rep shop, but huge. What I mean by that is I in-house about 8 different women in my store.
Okay.
They might have a super little small shelf, but nonetheless, they're in here. And I feel like that's the only way a storefront will survive these days. So, but if you think about it, it's been done for years. When you go to a Macy's, what do you find? Not everything in there has a Macy's tag with the name Macy's on the collar. It'll say yes, or it'll say Coach, or, so technically Rep Shop is doing that on a smaller scale. So it's all done, but people don't think that way. When you go into a Macy's, because you go from this shelf, that shelf, and this shelf, and just pay everything with one card, what do you tell people shopping at Macy's? But in reality, you shopped Guess, you shopped Coach, you shopped, New York and Company, whatever other brands are in there. And that's kind of what it is when you come to Rep Shop.
Interesting.
You shop Rep Shop because obviously I have my own merchandise in here. But I in-house 8 other small brands, and they're all women-owned businesses. And a lot of them are actually single moms, that are working an 8 to 5 and then have a small business as a side hustle. And I'm able to showcase them in here like a Macy's would Guess, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that's the new storefront, even for a small business, in order for you to survive and be paying the high rents rent is crazy right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so, it's only going to go up.
Yeah, which leads me back to what I was saying before this. You can have the concept of showcasing small businesses and stay afloat. But if that eventually is like, okay, people are still just like online. I have orders back here that, people order online and they just want to come pick up, know? And so I think that's the battle right now with retail, which is people actually making or having the time to come in through the door.
Interesting. Well, that just shows you that we live in an instant gratification world, that people want it now and they don't care how it's done. Just want it fast, cheap, and now.
Right. And like I said, Amazon, I blame Amazon for that, but it's genius. You can't hate on what's working.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like, we can sit here and just mope about how something's not working for you, or you could just hop on it and try to do it.
Yeah. The hustle and grind is real.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Well, Janet, I'd like to thank you for coming on and being my guest today. Thank you for your insights. Obviously, thank you for your time. Thank you for being my first guest on this Valley Vibes. I think it came out pretty good. And pitch your shop again, please.
I'm sorry?
Pitch your rep shop.
You can find us, the rep shop. You can find us in Edinburg, 316 East University. We're right before the courthouse, the new courthouse. So it's a women's boutique. We have a little bit of everything, and it's a place where you can shop whatever you represent. That's what rep shop means.
Awesome. Janet, we'll talk soon.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Bye.